Hello there. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to do three things. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to install Greybox and the skeleton game mode. Then I'm going to show you how to get it to open, get it to run, and add yourself as an owner. And then I'm going to show you how to add new config settings to your config menu with Lua. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the Facebook page, which I have right here. And it's the Greybox game mode base. You'll find the download section. You're going to download the Greybox. You're going to save that. And you're going to download the skeleton game mode. Save that. I'll open the folder. Got them both right here. So I want to minimize this. Go to my computer. I have my shortcut to Gary's mod. Game modes. Greybox I'll put here. And skeleton I'll put here. Alright, so now you have Greybox and skeleton installed. The skeleton game mode is the game mode you're actually going to be working on. And you should modify the name and all of the settings before you start working on a Lua. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Go ahead and open up the skeleton folder. Open up game mode. Go to shared. First you'll see new game mode is the name of this game mode. We're going to change that. We're going to call this game mode best game mode ever. Period. No period. And then you're gonna look at this. You're gonna see Greybox. That's how it bases off of Greybox. Don't worry, it's already there. Save that, and we'll just close that for now. And then we're gonna go up a folder again. We're gonna rename the skeleton folder because skeleton doesn't have really anything to do with our game mode. So we're gonna call it best ever. Now remember what you call it, because you're going to go into it, you're going to change skeleton to that same thing, best ever. And you're going to open that file. You're going to change this to the same thing, best ever. You're going to keep Greybox as the base, and you're going to change title to whatever you set it before. So the best game mode ever. I think that's the right one. No, the best game mode ever. Save that, close it up, and now when you turn on Gary's mod, let me do that. It should appear down here with your game modes. Best game mode ever, right there. And Greybox will also be there. Now note that even though Greybox is in this menu, it's not really a game mode that you should play. You can play it, and that's how I created it while playing it and testing it. However, it doesn't really have any features alone. So, we're going to open up best game mode ever. Doesn't have any picture here or here because we haven't made one yet. But then we're going to start a new game. I'll switch to 4 players so we can get bots if I need them. Go to construct, click start game. I'll minimize that for now. And we'll go to, we're going to open cl underscore init.lua. This is the client side file, and you're probably familiar with it if you've ever made a game mode before. But in this file, only client-side Lua is ran. Now, I'm gonna open up this for reference. We're gonna go to game modes, Greybox, game mode, and then Greybox's CL init folder or file. And it's got my stuff here. I wrote all this stuff before. Here is the config menu. Let me show you what the config menu is. This right here is the config menu. The first player to join any server which has Graybox as a base becomes the server owner, and the first time they join, the config menu will open. I have two settings right now in the config menu that I can set. You can click save and close, and you can click cancel. We'll save that and close it. So, for some reason I have pistol, because that's my base weapon in my skeleton game mode. That's based in the game mode, skeleton game mode. You don't really have to worry about that. But, don't worry about that error either. It'll be gone by the time you guys see this. So let's get started. The config menu can be opened by pressing F7. It can be opened by typing gm underscore server config. Same thing. But it can only be opened by an owner. By default, the config menu will have this collapsible category, and it will have all the players listed, and you can revoke ownership to people who are owners, and give ownership to people who aren't. Only owners can open this menu, and it won't apply until after you close the menu, so you can give it back to yourself. I'm going to keep ownership on myself because I'm going to be using this menu a lot. So, I'm going to go ahead and start making a config element. Just open that. There's two ways to make a config element. The first way is to use the gm config elements hook with argument panel list. We're going to go ahead and make our own hook like that. Hook.add config elements, comma, a unique identifier, we'll call it asjes, and then a function with the argument dpanelList. So, we get our hook, doesn't do anything yet. We're going to look back at the Graybox file. We're going to see how I made the list of players. By default, if you don't overwrite the config elements hook, you will have that list. And the way I made that list is I made a collapsible category. I put in a dpanel list inside of that category, and I put the list inside of that category list. So the order is this is in this, which is in this, which is in the dpanel list. The dpanel list that is mentioned is elements list, which is passed to config elements. You can see it, well actually you can't see it, it's an invisible square right here, which if the things overflow past that square, it makes a scroll bar. So let's go ahead and go back to my hook. And I'm going to copy some of this code here. I'm going to copy all this. I'm copying this because it's much simpler and I've already done it. And I'm basically, with this code, making a collapsible category and putting a list in there so I can put things inside that collapsible category. I think collapsible categories are more organized, and so that's why I used it with revoke and give ownership, save space and whatnot, and that's why I'm using it in this. Now, my collapsible category doesn't really exist yet because I haven't saved my file, and also because I haven't added it to the panel list. So before I just throw in an invisible collapsible category that doesn't do anything, I'm going to actually add an object. Put that over there, and I'll go on the internet, and I'll go to Glua, glua.me. Glua.me is a useful website for Gary's Mod Lua. It has a Lua bin, Lua search, modules, which is deprecated, and the Gmod wiki, which is hosted by the community rather than by Gary, because he doesn't do anything with the wiki. Doesn't add documentation. In this page, we're going to go to VGUI elements. Now, a lot of these aren't complete because it's community, but a good amount of them are more complete than on the regular wiki. But if you want a full list, which I do want, you can go to the old wiki. The reason I don't use the old wiki all the time is because it's a little outdated, but it should still work for most of the objects. So let's go to Maritz. I have it bookmarked. It's kind of a long, complex thing. I'll put the link in the description. And we'll go to functions, Derma controls. And I have a list of full list of Derma controls. Almost all of them except for that one are completely documented. We're going to make a D multi-choice. Now it says right here, this element is being renamed to D combo box once the Gmod 13 beta update becomes public. It's become public, so this is not a D combo box. This is not a D multi-choice. It's a D combo box now. So that's how it's outdated. It usually tells you if it's outdated. And you can usually compare between the old and the new. So we're gonna make this thing right here. I'm just gonna copy and paste. Save some time. Got my list. I already have that variable name list. Multi-choice. I see it is parented. I do not want parent. Do not parent your objects. They will be parented automatically when you add them to the panel list. You're going to set the position of the list. You don't need to do that either because it will be set automatically. Set the size, 120. Let's make that. The width will be automatically set, and the height is up to you. We'll keep that 20. We're going to add our options. The first option is bobblehead. Second one will be Gary. And third one will be FPTJE. And we'll do list set value. Who sucks the most penis? And we'll do well, that's good enough for now. We're gonna add that to the category list. And we're gonna add the category list. No, collapsible. We're gonna add the collapsible category to the dpanel list, just like so. When I save it and I open F7, you got an error. Let's see what that error is. Local list. Oh, right. I use multi-choice. Like I said, I wouldn't. We're going to change that to combo box. There we go. Now we have two of them that called give and revoke ownership, so I'll change that title here to preferences. So, who sucks most penis? Pick one. Gary. Same close. Now, nothing happened because I didn't make anything happen. What we're going to do is we're going to add a thing to happen. List on selected. I think it's on select. Let's see. On select, yes, list on select. Function. End. We're going to look at what they did. Print option value has been picked at the index. So we're just going to copy that for the sake of time. Index value data, value, index. So yeah. We're going to change that actually. We're going to change that to value. Sucks the most penis. So that way when we pick one, in our console it says bobblehead sucks most penis. We're going to do chat.add text. Another thing we can do, it's a gray box specific function, is local player notify. Gary sucks most penis. Good job, Gary. Okay, now we're going to. Oh, right. That's config elements, the hook. Basically just make your items, and at the end, add them to the panel list. Simple as that. We're going to do another thing. There's another way to add to the config menu, and that is with add config element. It's a function defined in Graybox, which when passed a when it's passed a element, it adds it to a special section where things are much more easy and they work out just fine. So we're going to do that. Add config element. So add config element function. It's a function that you're going to be using, and just like the last hook, you're going to do dpanel list. Now, dpanel list is only here for reference. See if you need to find out how wide, how tall, whatever it is that you need to find out about the panel list, how many objects are in it. It's there for reference, so if you need it, you can use it. But you're not going to add, just like you're not going to do what you did here, add item. You're not going to do that. Instead, let's just make our object local. Why don't we make a checkbox label. So our checkbox label, we're going to do just like this. I'm not going to copy. I'm actually going to write that one out. So we'll do check equals vgui.create the checkbox label. Check set text. We'll do fap. Check set not set convar, set value. We'll do that in a second. And check size to contents. Now, what we're going to do here is you're going to need to pay attention because this is very important. Check.convar equals, and then whatever your convar that you want the checkbox to change. This is important because when you do add config element, when you click save and close, all of your unsorted config elements added by add config element will update settings on the server. If you don't have convar on your element, it won't update anything. So we're going to make this be, what's a good convar? Let's do sbox god mode 0. So we'll do that. sbx god, and we'll change that to god mode. Do check set value, get convar number, check convar. And that will check to see what this current value is when it's created, and it'll change it to that. And that will add that checkbox. Except one thing. You must return the element in your function. If you do not return your element, it will not appear, and it will probably... No, it didn't throw an error. It will not appear. That's how you get it in. Instead of doing this, you do this. Simple as that. So two things you need in add config element. You need the convar, and you need to return the object. So let's open it up, and you'll see that there is now a extra collapsible category. If you do not have any add config elements, this will not appear. However, if you make config elements with add config element, this will appear, and they will all just be tossed in there arbitrarily. Saves time, but it's not very pretty. So you can open up other settings, click the check for God mode, click save and close, SV XBX God mode changed to 1.0 by Bobblehead. And that's how it works. It's simple as that. Now I have Who Sucks Most Penis and God mode at my disposal. Every time that you close when you do other settings, it will always apply the setting. So keep that in mind. That's just how it's got to be when it comes to add config element. But that's the two ways of adding config elements to your config menu. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy using Greybox as much as I enjoyed making it for you guys. That's all.